Hello everyone, and welcome to round 3 of Tier 1 in GSR Season 4. We are back at Baku, Azerbaijan. It's such a great street circuit to be back at. We already had the Tier 3 race happen, we already had the Tier 4 race happen. Those were pure chaos. What will today bring? I'm joined by league owner GSR Bianchi.
Yep, hello. I'm hopefully going to find some good racing here at Baku in Tier 1. Everyone's pretty close together when it comes to overall pace, so I believe we could have some amazing battles going throughout the field.
And your audio is working compared to the last time, Bianchi, so that is a fix. So yeah, glad to have that happen. So let's talk about Tier 4. You got the podium there, but it was a chaotic race to say the least.
Yep, from lights to the checkered flag, it was very, very chaotic. A bunch of safety cars that pretty much decided the ending, which ultimately ended up giving Ferrari a 1-2 and with Stevie Cat and Crispy Hang. So, yeah, good performance by them yesterday.
As well. I want to say that was, I'm pretty sure if I'm correct.
Yep.
So, go. Now, it should be interesting to see what goes on because yesterday's race at Baku had two rivals, Alexis Sanchez and Conducted, both collide at one point. And them two being rivals, that kind of brought a rivalry to Tier 4, wouldn't you say? Especially home.
Yeah, and I feel like it's something Tier 4 almost needs, because like under all the chaos, you need like almost like a storyline that like pay attention to throughout the entire season. So I mean, hopefully this continues.
Part of it. You never know. I mean, that was such a chaotic race yesterday. I was glad to be a part of it and glad to commentate it, and I'm sure you're glad to be a part of the podium. Probably happy about that.
Yep, I was very happy to be a part of the podium. I thought I lost it after I crashed out the final corner, but, you know, still somehow managed to keep it in and got the podium.
Yeah, now, I want to go over last season's race at Baku. Jack was leading. This is when Jack 1-2-1-2-5 was in the league. He was leading. Then lagged out. Came back into the session. Passed OTR Sinissimo. Then lagged out again. Then came at the end of the session, came back in, and was fighting for that second position. And this is where Axe kind of broke that dry spell. GSR Axe did. After not having a podium for a long time, he just kept having bad luck. You saw the Austria race last season. He spun about 5 times that race, and you can go watch it on YouTube. I'm literally not joking. And Canada, he spun about 3 times, tried to recover to the front, did so, and then crashed out while battling for the win. So Axe at that moment had part of the dry spells. And now you look at this, and you kind of think that last season, Bahrain, Axe was midfield, I'm pretty sure. Axe was fighting in that midfield, having a clean race. And then the start of the 2 races so far this season for GSR Axe hasn't really been too well for him.
Yeah, definitely could be going better. Hungary got involved in the Lap 1 chaos in turn 5, kind of squeezed out Mercedes and ended up falling victim to that. Now at Silverstone, he got involved in, again, more Lap 1 chaos and just couldn't really recover back up too well. Still got P8 though for get 4 points for AlphaTauri.
Yeah, and this is the track where he's been on the podium before, Season 1. Don't think he was in the podium in Season 2, but he was in the podium in Season 3. Out of all drivers, he could, if he gets a podium today, he'd have 3 podiums in 4 seasons, which isn't bad at Azerbaijan with how tricky of a street circuit it is. That would be a big accomplishment for GSR Axe, as he does go to the top now.
Axe already showing some amazing pace. Do you think he could probably be a favorite to take this victory? Because he's only 1/10 quicker than Scratty Rat, who's still reserved, but do you think he can maybe still come out with this?
I would think so. I mean, I've seen some of his other league races. I've seen his pace in time trial. I know time trial people say don't mean anything, but Axe's pace compared to last game has improved a ton. And not necessarily like the biggest improvement, but it has been up there, has improved compared to the last game. And I think like last game, an issue he found was consistency in that race pace. The race pace looked fine, but it was consistency, keeping your car clean, keeping your car out of a mess, and he failed to do so far to start off the season. And that's what his issue has been in Breakout Racing League. He clipped the curb, made a mistake, gone out of the race. So just stuff like that, keeping your car clean during the whole race, not having a single issue. You know, he can pull out qualifying laps, he can do very good, but he needs to get himself in the position where he's just alone the whole race, alone, away from everyone else, and not near any chaos. And I think he'll do fine, because he was not really near anyone last season at all, and that's what got himself the podium. He wasn't near anyone that could wreck him, or that could be involved in a wreck. He wasn't near any of that, so maybe this season he can take a podium.
Yeah, maybe we'll see it happen, and maybe we can see X come up with a victory like I was bringing up. I mean, even last season, he was showing so much, like, amazing race pace, but it was just a matter of just being consistent, because he won Hockenheim and Monza last season. So, like, he definitely has good race pace.
Especially with those bigger tracks, like you named Hockenheim, which has the long back straight, in the 3 DRS zones, Monza, which has the long front straight, which you get up to 220 miles per hour on. It looks like tracks where he can win on. These big tracks, I think of Baku is a big track if you think about it, because there's 20 turns, there's the long straight you have, straights in Formula 1. And probably one of the best straights we've had for finishes. Tier 3 had a chaotic finish. You could say side by side to the line, between Mercedes and Williams, I want to say it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember these races, but I want to say it was that. And yeah, I am right. So you never know what could happen. Maybe these races, maybe these big tracks for Axe, maybe these tracks with the long straights and not the downforce tracks could provide an interesting race for him. Now, I was going to mention last week's winner, ARL Cobra. Won last week's race off penalties. V2 Combat had took the win on track. F1 driver took second on track. They fell down to second and fifth after the final results. They fell down to there, and they basically costed themselves with the penalties they had. And Cobra, not having as much penalties, took advantage of that and got himself his first win in his second start.
Yep, and that was Ferrari's first Tier 1 victory since JSRX did it at Monza. So, good to see Ferrari back in top step of the podium. Actually, speaking of Cobra, he's coming off the final corner right now, going onto the long straight to finish his lap. Bit of a rear end snap there, but he is all good. Coming off the final two kinks. He's 2/10 up, it's that purple sector, he might get pole here.
That slide could have cost it. Coming to the checkered flag this time. He's coming into the pits, he knows he made a mistake right there. He knows the mistake was costly. X on an outlap. They should be able to get back to the checkered flag with the time delay there is. An Aero Cobra does retire from the session. Remember, he qualified 4th, 5th last week, but that two-stop strategy did kind of play into his favor compared to V2 Combat. Morgan locking up right there, losing the rear. There's a Red Bull coming to the line. That is KDX Breyer. He did improve on his time, and that was also the other Alfa Romeo. I think that was Scratty Rat starting his lap this time. There's a Williams coming to the line. It's Such J. He does complete the checkered flag. The AlphaTauri behind. That's Axe starting a lap. He is going to be able to start a lap. Pluto, 12th. Pluto very far down, starting on the mediums. You also have as well Smoking Ginger, who was in Tier 2 last season, up to 14th. There's a Williams of Such J. No, that's Kyle SO2, who was in contention to win Tier 2 last season, but didn't do so, failed to do so. 15 1000s up. Can he possibly get ahead of Aero Cobra? That's for the second row, which he currently sits on, but he'd be sitting in the better position in that second row. Where does Kyle SO2 go as he comes to turn 20 now? In contention to win last season, had a big lead, bottled it, and cost himself at the race victory. He's come to the line now. Where does he go? He improves. He's ahead of Aero Cobra. 1/1000th, that is. Alfa Romeo, that's GSR Luck. That's up to the top 10. There's a Ferrari. Behind that, that's Brew Gorgon. Where does he go? He moves up to the top 15, just barely inside the top 15 from the points leader. Mercedes behind that, that's F1 driver. Completes the checker flag, cannot improve. Back to 6th this week. Horrible qualifying by him, you'd say. He's got passed by Such J, who is up there in the F2 league.
And V2's a purple sector too, right now, and he's going to come up.
V2, second.
And that's
Jab
it for
just gone
qualifying.
9th. And the Alfa Romeo completes the checkered flag. No, that's Gruddy Rat, actually. I think he's coming to the line now. He actually goes second. He's out with V2 combat. And Axe looking to improve his time. Can he improve to the 137s? He looks like he knows he's got pole. V Ripley coming to the line. I think he's done with his lap. He's on an out lap a little bit too late. Does improve 138.1. Axe stays on pole. And it's another pole position for AlphaTauri.
What a qualifying session we have had here. Remember, AlphaTauri have actually only won a singular race, and that was with Mr. Boker back in Spain last season for Tier 1. And that's throughout every single tier. That is the only race AlphaTauri have won. So maybe we could see AlphaTauri get their second victory.
We've seen guys such as Callum McKeon, I believe, Tabitzi, a few guys such as those guys who gone into that car, stepped up for the team, and they got podiums. That team has a decent amount of podiums. You saw Lolas Trevi, Season 1, got a podium, and yeah, V Ripley knows his lap is done because I think he just messed it up right there, and he does retire.
But yeah, speaking of V Ripley, I want to point out how he has been in GSR since the Season 2 Hungarian Grand Prix, which I think was the 17th round of the season. He's been in GSR racing consistently since that point, has failed to get a podium. This race last season is where he got the closest to it after Jack lagged out. He was only about 5/10 back from him. Could the speed of day where V Ripley gets a podium.
He's had a lot of bad luck, and a track like Baku, or a track like Azerbaijan, I should say, I shouldn't keep saying Baku all over again. A track like Azerbaijan is a race where we've seen surprise winners and surprise podium finishers. Axe on the pole, Scratty Rat, V2, Kyle, Cobra rounds out the top 5. Such J, F1 driver, Ricochet, Jab, KDX rounds out the top 10. Some big names, or some guys, like Luck, could steal a good finish. Atlantis at the far back. Rumbly Fungus, who got disqualified at the far back. And Tier 2 champion GSR Pluto, who didn't go on to win this race. Actually had some troubles, but gone on to finish on the podium last season in this race.
Yep, and I certainly believe that we are in for absolute chaos, because that's what Baku never fails to bring.
I think this is the unless Season 2 are different, I think this is the biggest Azerbaijan grid, like the biggest amount of people we've had in a Baku race of GSR ever, I think, in Tier 1. At least in Tier 1 that I know of. Because Tier 1 last season, I want to say, had about 16 people at the time. And we also had in Tier 1, Season 1, about like 9, 10-ish people. And then in Season 2, I want to say there was like 16, 15-ish. So we had 19 today, which is probably a record for Baku Tier 1.
And that can be considered a good or a bad thing. We're about to find out once we get through this
Yeah.
race.
And that could lead to rather more good racing or more chaos, which I wouldn't mind seeing both. But you know what? It's Azerbaijan. We saw yesterday's Tier 4 race kind of provide an interesting look to the race. We saw a mix between the 2017-2018 race where you saw Lance Stroll, Valtteri Bottas coming to the line. You saw that kind of coming to the line. You see the strategy. Softs to hards, soft mediums if you're trying a two-stop. So that's the preferred strategy right there. This race in Tier 4 yesterday kind of provided an interesting type of way of looking at it, I say. Because you can look at it as a 2017 type of race, where it was chaos, everything else, and 2018 as well. Kind of a mixture between the two, I kind of thought it was. Everyone outside there's people getting disqualified in the information lab. There's people outside the top 10 starting. Everyone outside the top 10 is starting on mediums or hards. There's 3 people on mediums, a few people, well, the rest of the people on hards. Axe on pole, he's one of my ones to watch, and the reason I say this is because he's got a podium in 2 of the 3 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Axe, can he make it a third out of the 4 races today? We'll have to find out. And Axe did work hard for that podium last season. It wasn't just luck, it was just actually working for it. Rumbly Fungus down in 19th. A decent finish last week around the top 5 area. That's where we've seen him in GSR. He was teammates with Axe. When Axe won his last race, that was back in Italy. Rumbly Fungus finishing the podium with him. That's interesting to say because Rumbly Fungus, with Axe getting pole, I think Axe got pole or was up front, starting up there in Italy. So Rumbly Fungus was teammates with Axe then, isn't anymore. Can Rumbly Fungus possibly convert this race from 19th on the grid? We can see miracles happen. We saw you could say Fernando Alonso having trouble at the start of the Grand Prix in 2018 and come back to a good finish. And I want to go with Kyle Esso too. Heartbreak last season, but there was a bit of a bet made before this race about him. You know, if he gets a win today, he may look to do so because last season in this race too, which was his first Tier 2 start at the time, he had gone into the wall, binned it from a big lead that he had, probably one of the biggest leads in GSR Tier 2 at the time from that season. Does he look to possibly go for a win today? I'd love to see it. Bianchi, your favorites that are different?
I think Ripley and Pluto are mine, simply because, like, Pluto has shown in Tier 2 that his pace is absolutely superb, and he's also shown he can charge back from the back of the grid. And Ripley because he has had awful luck using pace. I believe if everything goes his way today, he could maybe come out with a podium, or if he's lucky enough, a win.
Any other driver you want to look at as a favorite?
It's hard to choose. I think that's about it.
Yeah, V2 Combat for me if there's any other person, but we're coming to lights out pretty soon. So for Pluto, the strategy he's probably choosing: hards, mediums, or hards, mediums, softs, possibly hards, softs, hards to softs. You never know. 5 red lights come upon us here pretty soon in Azerbaijan. We'll have to find out what goes on, when the start will be happening. We don't see any lights coming on just yet, but wait for it because it's going to come pretty soon. Overtake button engaged for Scratty Rat. You know he's ready to get off the grid. He's trying to switch the overtake button. Lights aren't coming on just yet. Don't see the lights on just yet.
Good game.
Just waiting for the lights. Yeah, it is a good game, right?
Quality.
Amazing. Well, top 10 starting on softs. The rest of the field on mediums or hards. They're trying a different strategy. They're trying the different way, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Different look at it. We're just waiting here. We're just waiting here.
May it actually be glitched. This is awkward.
It is.
I don't know what to say. Hopefully it gets started here soon.
Hey, at least we won't have a 5-car race like Indy 2005, you know? I mean, but it does seem weird right now with what's going on.
That's fair. I think everyone's just a bit anxious to get going, but they just can't.
You know V2 is, and you know Scratty Rat is when they got the overtake button engaged. When Axe doesn't, Axe doesn't. So you know they're wanting to get off the line pretty well. And I think who's the person not connected in the session? Let's see. That's Smoking Ginger. Yeah, he's got to get. Yeah, that's probably the issue right there.
Yeah, unfortunately for him.
Yeah.
I think he'll be able to join back. I'm unsure if he will be though. If not, it sucks for him.
And he's an Australian driver in this league. So is Jonesy as well. So those guys is pretty early in the morning. So they're probably a little bit mad early in the morning that this is going on. You know, I mean, I would be too.
I think Ginger might have already left because his car is ghosted.
Yeah.
I don't know what to really say other than that. Just have to wait. I just picked a pit stop strategy for the 15th time on my end.
Yeah, it is wasting a bit of time. So hopefully things do get underway. I would hope so. If they don't, that sucks. But you see everyone in the top 13 except for Axe has that overtake button engaged, and it's kind of like they're kind of waiting for the start to come. They're a bit anxious, you know. They're just engaging that overtake button. So of course, you know, that's kind of why. Everyone's like, I got a party to go to or something like that. They're waiting for the start to come on. He's being pinged non-stop. I would imagine that his phone right now vibrating the way it is. But yeah.
Yeah, chat isn't exactly too thrilled.
I wouldn't blame him.
Oh,
here we go. The start.
finally.
5 red lights upon us here in Baku. We're finally away here, and we are away after a long wait for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix.
Scratty Rat
Side by
comes
side with
Axe.
the front row. Axe gets a little bit. sideways off the start. He goes a bit wide. The two are side by side of him and Scratty Rat. There's a McLaren going into the barrier. There's a Mercedes touching the wall. But side by side between the race leader, Scratty Rat and Axe going wheel to wheel. Yellow flags at the back. Scratty Rat's got the advantage on Axe, while Kyle SO2's got up to second. Now, safety car comes out.
What a two-corner start we got there. I don't even know what happened.
There's already glitches with Brew Gorgon and Scotty Jets as well, which is pretty nice. Don't like to see that from the game, but that's the way it is, right?
Not sure if you guys know this, but it happens in real life too. Ricardo's garbage internet too. Eagle Matrix. Thank you for that comment, because that's kind of funny, not gonna lie.
Well, now the running order should be sorted, but Scratty Rat has the race lead. Safety cars come out on lap 1 of the Grand Prix. You got Scratty Rat, GSR X, Kyle SO2 running in a podium position. From him, not even taking a single win in Tier 2. Could he possibly get a win in Tier 1 today? Yankee?
Maybe we could see the win come out of him right now. He's already put himself in a good spot after lap 1. Just a matter of him keeping the spot. And I'd like to point out, Atlantis has gone up 5 spots since the start of the race. He's already up to P13. Amazing start by him.
Ripley 4 positions, Rumbly Fungus 4 positions for him as well. Those were 2 of our favorites, so you should see something interesting with them. V2 Combat, the big loser out of the whole safety car coming out, and the whole start itself, gone down 3 positions. Ricochet was probably about the damage. He had gone down 8 positions, and he's just overtaken Brew Gorgon in the safety car, I think, because he has damage. Brew Gorgon, having to overtake him back, alright. Well, while that happens, GSR Luck was probably put into a barrier as well, because I saw an Alfa Romeo, or whoever it was, gone into the barrier, and that did cause a bit of confusion of what happened at the back, but because of that, Smoking Ginger... Yeah, you see that right now. Smoking Ginger down 4 positions, Luck down 7. You see Axe, KDX Pryor, the rest of the guys from the race lead pitting, but V Ripley, that's definitely glitched, stays out. So does GSR Luck, so does Pluto, Atlantis, Rumbly Fungus, Scotty Jets, and Smoking Ginger as well. So different strategies from the people who started at the very back, and of course you'd expect different strategies from the guys who started on mediums and hards.
Trying to get Ginger back in the session, unfortunately, after having to leave due to the lag. Yeah, GSR Luck, one of the few that stayed out, including Ripley. People that stayed out right now, apart from the people in hards, currently P1, P4. Will they hold up Axe and Briar?
Now, people aren't... Oh, well, we have some glitches here in this game. Well, people who pitted, all of them except for Axe pitted for mediums. Axe had pitted for the hards, the rest of them had pitted for the mediums, and the thing that I find interesting is that they look to actually go 2-stop, softs, mediums, mediums for these guys. Axe is looking to go to a 1-stop, soft to hards, and go to the end on this. I'm curious to see if this will work. I'm not too sure.
I mean, 2-stop strategy can always lift up the safety cars as well, because we'll probably be seeing a lot of safety cars due to incidents.
We saw Iran Felipe take his tires to the end at Brazil after pitting very, very early. You know, and about that, it's kind of like this situation with Axe. Axe pitted very early in the race because of a safety car. Safety car happened about lap 6, lap 7 in Brazil. Felipe pit and took advantage of that opportunity. Gone on to win the race. Gone on to hold off the field behind him. Gone on to hold off the other drivers, and he was like 80% where. So yeah, I mean it's capable of happening, and we get the strategy option for like the 10th time on the screen.
Yep.
So.
Atlantis. Remember where he started? He started P18. He's up 11 spots, or 15 spots, excuse me. So is Rumbly Fungus too, after starting dead last.
Yeah, that's from all saying out, and they're gonna have to bet on another safety car. So it's 7 people who didn't stop. Yeah, 7 people who didn't stop. Yep. And at a position change, everyone in the top 5 has gained 11 or more positions from their starting position, at least from right now. So if it finishes this way, we might have a busy driver of the day if that's the way it finishes.
Yep, and beat Ripley, put himself up to P1. He's one of those 7 right now. And it's a matter of conserving tires too, because that's a huge part of this track. And last season with Kyle also too, nearly bidding it on those final few corners with his really worn cards, and me just as recent as yesterday crashing on the final lap. So like, tire wear is very bad at the track like this.
Not even that. Look where the top 6 started. They started outside the top 10. And the winner yesterday from Tier 4 came from 10th place. The winner in Tier 2 came from about 14th, 16th place, around that area in Tier 2 last season. So it wouldn't be the first time we'd see something like that, if that's the case.
Yeah, and Ricochet has had an absolutely awful start. He started a P8 or P7. He's already done a P18. Only person behind him being Brute Gorgon in the pit, or who had the pit for damage, I believe.
So, safety car, considering all the pack of cars are caught up now, the safety car should be coming in this time. We're going to have an interesting restart, and we should be able to see what things go. Like, we did see Axe, Scruddy Rat, Kyle kind of be a little bit, you could say, cheeky and get by Smoking Ginger, who has a lagged out car. It still is. Safety car is in this lap. So, Ripley leads the pack away. How's he going to manage the safety car restart? Pluto's behind him. We saw Pluto manage the safety car restarts last season at a track like this, or just in general in Tier 2. He kind of played a little waiting game, and Ripley might be doing the same here. Might be playing the waiting game. Might be trying to not have Pluto get a tow on him into Turn 1. Because that's capable of happening. We saw the 2018 safety car restart with Real Life Formula 1. There was a tow being given, kind of from the guys behind, from the 2 Mercedes. And Vettel dived down the inside, failed at doing so. And you see a 5-second penalty for luck on this restart. But now back to the gas. And now Atlantis is trying to pass Pluto on the restart. Pluto's not even close enough to Ripley to make an overtake. Now I believe they're side by side for 3rd. Probably Fungus down the inside.
Yep. Does not make it work though. And Scruddy Rat and GSR side by side going in turn 2, still holding it as X through for P6.
Oh, you see a car darting out to the left-hand side at the back. There's a yellow flag. That's actually Jonesy, who's gone off toward the barrier. And he's retired. Down the inside, Cobra goes on luck. This is for position. This is for 11th place. Cobra trying to gain momentum and positivity from starting that far down. Now, Luck goes wide. Cobra switching back here at the chicane. Behind that, you have F1 driver KDX Breyer. Cobra's going to go through. Now, Such J's opportunity.
Yes, Such J now coming to the inside. And almost right into the back of Cobra. That could have ended poorly.
Such a kind of a brilliant overtake there, because trying to go side by side there at turn 7 is a very tough deal to do. When you go side by side there, you're taking a big risk with the wall on the left hand side and the right hand side. So, you know, being side by side the corner before the castle section is not the best thing to do. So, I mean, trying it, making it work, props to you.
Yep, and V Ripley currently managing to get to GSR Pluto's gotten up to 1.1 seconds, but I believe that gap will start decreasing with time due to just overall pace.
Now he's the only guy who stayed out under the safety car, who was on medium. Scruddy Rat gets by Scotty Jets, and Aero Cobra by Jab. But Jab trying to slipstream back on Aero Cobra into turn 1, can't get enough momentum. Scotty Jets trying on Scruddy Rat, can't get by. Jab was going to try it, couldn't do so. Smoking Ginger go by his Ricochet. Ricochet into the barrier. He misses the pit lane, I think. I think he tried making it in the pit lane, but he had a job of it, and it's created a safety car right there.
Oh, and he's going to have to do a whole nother lap to get right back to the pit lane. That's not going to be fun.
Okay, that part makes no sense to me. CJ having his rear wheels off the car and having... Okay, he goes wide into the barrier. CJ, who had his rear wheel basically off the car. I don't know if that's a glitch, because I've seen that about 3 times in the last 24 hours. CJ, who crashed up the castle section, which is right on the racing line, was not a safety car, but 2 cars crashing on the racing line, which didn't get anyone out of the race, and just got wing damage, was a safety car. Ricochet's his front wing missing, that's a safety car, just barely tapping the wall. it just shows what this game is capable of doing with its safety cars. It's just so inconsistent. And it's fun to watch safety cars be brought out, but this is the second safety car of the race. We have not really had much racing since lap 1.
Yeah, Tier 3 had 3 virtual safety cars and 3 full course safety cars. So, yeah, and didn't really have much racing. Max was almost late to the Tier 1 race because of how long it went on for.
Yeah. I mean, I know this is Azerbaijan, but I'm interested to see if Vietnam, of course, stays in the calendar. I hope it does, but I'm interested to see what Vietnam brings. I mean, you barely tap the wall, you squeeze your competitor just barely in the wall, you know, just a little contact. Oh yeah, safety car. You know, I mean, that's probably what we'll see. Now, does any of the top 5 hit here under the safety car? I don't see anyone doing so. No, Rumbly Fungus was thinking about it. He does not pit.
Scotty
Jets actually is, because I think he had damage from the Scratty Rat, with him touching him.
Such
I mean, it is Baku, so
follow through.
It is a good point from Thrasher. It is Baku, so I do see the point in that. It being a safety car a lot, because it is Baku, and the safety cars are very frequent here. But if you're having a safety car every corner, that's not racing. That's just boring. We're just watching cars go around pacing at 20 miles per hour. That's what it is at this point, for now. And I hope there is more racing as off the start here, because we've not got like anything so far. And luck strategy going to the softs.
Though, from a commentator's point of view, the safety cars might not be a good thing. For V right now, he's probably wanting the safety car to stay out as long as he can, so he can keep in the lead as long as he can. Because once it comes right in, Pluto's just gonna pounce on him.
Yeah, I mean, he got away with the last safety car race by pulling away as much as he did. Can he? I'm curious to see. Holding a big gap on that safety
I don't know, we'll
racer.
see. Atlantis is actually still on the P3 though after a charge from Ridley Fungus in the turn 1. Will he keep the spot and for the rest of the race though?
I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see because, you know, Axe is on a different strategy, trying that one stop. Obviously, you can maybe make it with these tires on the one stop, but guys like Scratty Rat, Kyle, and everyone back or further on back, who all were on the mediums and pitted for them, are trying to go for that 2-stop. And with the advantage of safety cars, they're going to be on the better tires at the end. But if Axe gets no safety cars at the end, maybe Axe somehow pulls away and wins the race. I don't know. You just don't know. It's racing. You just never know. So it could go either way. Axe could have troubles. Scratty Rat could have troubles. Who knows? Kyle, who knows what could happen? It's just Baku.
And Baku is the brewer for Chaos. So like, I definitely see a lot more TNS than just the one we have right now from Jonesy earlier in the race.
Axe just commented on Lime Green Dam by himself or what, but I think it was. He just commented in chat about Lime Green damage GSRX did. And I don't know, I'm quite interested to see if he does have damage. So I don't know. He says he don't know how he got it. So he has to deal with that now. You know, if there's one time he turns a bit too much into the castle section, he goes out of the race at that point. So
yep, and Castle section claimed a lot of victims in both tiers 3 and 4. Just a notorious corner that can catch anybody out, including real life.
yeah. I don't think we've seen a race yet where the castle section's cost someone out in F1, but we've seen it in F2, so it's kind of like a effect with cars. You know, one person goes in there, the next person will go in there too, and that's kind of what happened in the F2 race, I believe, like Sergei Sorokin a few years ago.
Yep, I believe he clipped the, and that's luck with the penalty. Collided with, he spun around at the back of the field.
Oh.
Not sure what's happened there.
But yeah, about the F2 race.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he clipped the barrier going in and just went to the barrier and caused actually a pile up into the castle section.
Which, if I'm correct, that actually caused a red flag because of that. That was back in 2017, I want to say.
Yep, it was, and it claimed, I believe, 6 cars.
Yeah, when one person goes in there, the next person goes in there. They just pile up, and that we might actually see that. We don't know.
6 cars in this lap, and there's a close call in the back with the bottom 3 with KDX, Ricochet, and GSR Left, because KDX kind of slowed up a bit. But Will Ripley used the same tactics as earlier, slowing up the field until the very last second.
Yeah, he actually pulled a second gap in the restart for the lap he was, and got ahead of Pluto. Pluto might be taking more notes of that and seeing how when he goes to the safety car restart, when he does go get in the gas, because that could change the difference in Pluto being on him or whatnot. And Pluto trying to get next to him, trying to go. He's ready to go. Ripley waiting to go, waiting for the safety car to be in the pits. Now it is. Pluto learned that time, and he's side by side into turn one. He was for a moment. They were trying to go wheel to wheel. He can't get side by side. Smoking Ginger's left the session again, and now side by side at the back. The two AlphaTauris were trying to go wheel to wheel. Scratty Rats got by Axe. Aero Cobra by Jab as well. Aero Cobra was trying to go down the inside of V2. Couldn't do so. Kylo2 down the outside he was trying, but he fell back in the restart. Was one of the losers of the restart. And Scotty Jets at the back as well with Smoking Ginger's teammate.
That's KDX Pryor, cruising right by Scotty Jets for P14. And I believe it's GSR being overtaken by Scotty Rat, who Axe lost clear in by a considerable margin there. Surprised he didn't crash. That's Atlantis.
Oh, Brew Gorgon, an F1 driver. They touched, actually. And yeah, about Atlantis, those two were going wheel to wheel. Scotty Rat trying to switch back, but he has Axe down his inside, so he can't really do so.
And Gorgon punts such straight into the barrier. That's going to give KDX Pryor the opportunity to maybe make a move on Brew, and he breaks really early. There's more contact between the Williams and the Red Bull and the castle section.
This ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. This is not gonna work.
And it did not work.
How? Yeah, it didn't work, but I'm surprised they didn't crash. It didn't work, but to the point where one had to back off, one had to be very lucky, and they were side by side. It was between V2 and Axe into the corner before the castle section, and that time V2 got ahead. So V2, who lost a lot of positions at the start, lost about 3, has actually gained them back and is now near the net race leader, Scratty Rat. And where Pluto's at, he's actually almost 2 seconds behind Ripley now. The big difference between the mediums and the hards now.
If we see some skirmishes in the back with Ricochet and Scotty Jets, who is currently AI, unfortunately for him.
Making a move on Scotty Jets now, down the inside. Just a casual overtake.
Easy enough for him. But yeah, Atlantis.
Thought he hit the back of him for a minute. Never mind.
Atlantis actually pretty much held his ground in this restart. Like up behind Rumbly Fungus. Apart from Rumbly, he's still held into the top 5. It's just a matter of when he'll get passed by Square at V2, because still have to pit.
So now Rumbly Fungus has kind of created a train behind him, and Axe has kind of created a train behind him as well of about 5-6 cars, where in front of him it's about 4 cars he's trying to catch up to.
Yeah, and the gap behind with F1 driver and Jabali MSU, I think Jab just let F1 driver by, and causes wing damage for Brute Gorgon.
Oh, wow.
That's a Red Bull with
That's
wing damage, I believe.
Good.
I saw Employee come off. I don't know who that was.
That definitely wasn't Jab. I think that was KDX. Because Jab's front wing looked fine. I think KDX has it on the right side, actually. He was trying to go side by side with, or wheel to wheel with Luck. That didn't work out. And he had to back off on that one.
Yeah, but skyrocketing really close
Scratty
to the back
Rat.
of Atlantis now.
The X or the S's. This might work. Overtake button engaged to the left side. Atlantis kind of pinching him toward the barrier. It's pretty close and pretty tight between the two. V2 Combat seeing this battle. DRS enabled. V2 Combat might want to get his nose in on this. Scratty Rat ahead into turn 1. Into the braking zone. Atlantis switching back. Going down the inside. Goes through at turn 1. Atlantis goes ahead. And V2 Combat takes advantage as well.
And V2 almost loses the rear end after getting punted by Scratty Rat. But here comes Scratty back to the inside of V2 Combat in the Renault. Will he make it work in the turn 2? Maybe get Atlantis along with him. and he will not get Atlantis, but he will go by V2. Maybe not actually, and he will. Grinding right back up to P5.
You have to give Atlantis props for that overtake. That he was up the outside, goes back down the inside with a Ricardo type of move, and Scratty Rat hitting the back of Atlantis. But with the Ricardo type of overtake right there, from Atlantis making a move at turn 1, the way he did, you have to give him props for that. Not a full-time driver, just a reserve, and not bad for a reserve.
Nope, not at all. But Atlantis is starting to form this train up, though. Rumbly's pulled away by 2.5 seconds. But now Scratty's trying his absolute hardest to get by Atlantis and try to catch up to Rumbly Fungus.
While that's happening, Ripley on lap 10 has kind of pulled that back. V2, I saw him cut that corner. Oh my god. Ripley has kind of pulled up to a 4-second lead over Pluto. So Ripley, I think he's trying for the 2-step. I want to say he is, but no. And here comes Scratty Rat in the back of Atlantis. This is deja vu of last lap. And now Scratty Rat to the left side, and they're in the same position they were in. Scratty Rat using the overtake button. DRS enabled, going by Atlantis. Will Atlantis try the same move he tried? He's not close enough to do so.
Oh, and he
missed the corner.
His breaking point by a ton. Aero Cobra might get by him right here. Nope, he will not. But he will have DRS on Atlantis coming up.
The good thing about Atlantis losing the position is now in the place to have DRS, but now Cobra, who's engaged the overtake button, is going to go by Atlantis. That's her position, and then the two AlphaTauris were near each other.
Will there be any team motors going on here? Because I think X may be a faster one here.
Yeah, you see Atlantis stayed out since lap 1, and it's not helped him at all. I wouldn't be surprised if Atlantis lets Axe by here in the straight. He might. No, he won't. Axe is not close enough.
Jab got really close to the back of Kyle so too, but was not close enough to make a move. He might try making one in the turn 1 later on, maybe. It's all up to how he paces himself.
Rumbly Fungus has also kept that gap between him and GSR Pluto tight between them as well. So, Pluto almost got into the barrier. You see that turn 15 right there. You got to be very careful with how the rear of the car steps out. If you touch that curb does give you a bit more speed, but you touch the curb and hit it the wrong way, your rear of the car could be going in the wall, and that could maybe get your front end of the car in the wall as well. Now heading onto the front straight, Atlantis, who was 5th on this previous, I think, yeah, 5th on this previous lap, at this part of the circuit, is now down to 7th.
Jab's gonna breeze by Kyle so too, up to P10 for the final points main position. He'll be through, I think. Kyle pits, yep, there he goes.
Rumbly Fungus, 4/10 gap to Pluto. Now the gap between the race lead is about 5 seconds. So I've got to ask, is Ripley trying a one-stop mediums to softs here? He might extend it, but with how long he stayed out on these mediums, I would think he's trying something different to not be in the position he's been in a lot and have the bad luck. Now Such J does go by Jab, which Jab is stuck there, and Jab has left the session. Will this bring out a safety car because of that glitch that he's just had? No, it won't. That's weird. I've never seen that.
Yeah, quite the weird glitch he had there. Elster 2.
And that's accident F1 driver out! They crashed at the castle section! Both of them crashed at the castle section! Axe is out, F1 driver's out, Axe, who had a chance to win this race, both of them collide and are out of the Grand Prix.
And Axe has been talking about how his pace on F1 leagues recently has been pretty decent, but he's always either got himself out or just been wrecked out of these races. And it's just yet another example. I feel really bad for him.
An F1 driver I feel bad for as well had the wheel problems in the GSR event yesterday as well, and comes back today trying to do better with his wheel being fixed and DNF's out of the race. So he has no confidence with his wheel probably, or with anything from
Ripley
that whole
pits.
incident. Ripley pits, and I think Pluto and Rumbly Fungus might as well. And that is Aero Cobra getting passed under the safety car by Atlantis. That might be a bit of a weird one. Rummy Fungus pits for mediums. Gonna try to go to the end. Interesting.
Atlantis, let's go
Yeah,
over
Atlantis,
back by.
Yep.
And drive
Gorgon,
through
drive
for
through.
Gorgon.
Wow.
As if this race could not get any worse. There it is.
Championship leader.
Yep. Probably the most consistent one so far this season. Being caught up by a bunch right now.
So now with all this, the net race lead, that's V2 Combat and Scruddy Rat. Scruddy Rat, I think he's a reserve, Bianchi, isn't he?
Yes, Scruddy Rat is a reserve.
Wow. So, he could prove himself and get himself a full-time seat today by maybe winning this race. He's currently in the net race lead. He sits ahead of V2 Combat, Aero Cobra. That's for position. And they're also trying to gain on Pluto, who's just up there, just not too far ahead, up through the castle section.
I believe really might be making on a safety car at this point because he's put onto the mediums once again.
Yeah, but with the lead he had the 5-second lead. The interval glitch is glitched with me as F1 driver does lead the session in Rage. V2's picked up a penalty now, so that's interesting. But Ripley though, he had a big enough lead to pit with that VSC coming out and going on to mediums. Didn't he start on mediums? So isn't he gonna go mediums, softs then?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And if safety car came out, that would definitely help him.
But with the big lead he had, he didn't lose too much time to the front leading pack that's up there in second place. Now V2 Combat dives down the inside at turn 1. Wheel to wheel with Scruddy Rat. Barges his way through. He goes through. Both of them are wheel to wheel. V2 Combat's going to stay head into turn 2.
And Scruddy Rat got a horrible exit. Maybe he could have fought back, but entrance he may have had is now gone.
Hitting his JetBully MSU on to, I want to say, softs? No, mediums. What am I thinking?
Okay,
so now with all this, oh, go ahead.
Yep, he got let before. Maybe Red Bull, maybe in a party together making the same strategy calls. Again, maybe banking on the safety car.
We saw a late safety car in Tier 2 last season. We saw a late safety car in Tier 4 yesterday. I think we saw maybe one in Tier 3 earlier today. So, it's capable of happening. There's an opportunity for it to happen. Just don't know.
Now coming onto the DRS straight. V2's hoping he gets some pretty good exits off this final corner right here. And just making sure that Scruddy Rat doesn't get in his DRS. And if he does, making sure he's far enough back so he doesn't overtake him. And the same goes with I think Scruddy Rat could have him.
Excuse me, into turn 1. Scruddy Rat dives down the inside, goes through for now. The help of DRS, not even the overtake pod.
And Scruddy Rat comes through, and Cobra's fallen back massively since that move, and Atlantis is now pit for his first pit stop of the race. I believe he'll probably be going in the mediums, and yep, he is.
He's stuck in the he's stuck in the pit lane for me, and yeah, changing a front wing for him, and V2 Combat locking up. He was close to Scruddy Rat there for the second position. Those two were close. And I think V2 almost got hit in the back of, or almost hit in the back of him, and locking up again. V2 does. That's wow, locking up again, 3 times in a row.
He's really pushing, trying to get by Scruddy Rat, but Scruddy's just not really sure, letting him by. That's a VSC for something. Gorgon's crashed.
I think that's in the pit lane. He was trying to pit. I think, and he crashed into the pit lane. That's actually brought out a VSC from this. And now this is maybe Pluto's opportunity to pit on the softs. Is he capable of doing that? Does he have the facilities?
I'm not sure if he does. I mean, we'll see what strategy he'll go with.
Oh, Ripley drive through. If it couldn't get worse for Ripley, it has. Oh, that is big. He was on the different strategy, and that is big for V Ripley.
Bad luck. That's
KDX with a team order game, letting Jab William SU by. I think that was planned.
V Ripley's
Oh,
bad luck.
crashes! KDX in the barrier, and now V2 does pit onto the softs for the end of this race. Pluto stays out, so Pluto trying to go very far, maybe hoping for a late race safety car, because he knows if he pitted right there and a safety car came out about a lap or two later, he'd be pretty pissed if that's the way it gone.
Yeah, but really Fungus, if he wants to catch up to V Ripley under these green flag conditions, he'll have to close that gap by 6.2 seconds, and they're pretty even on pace right now. So, and I think Aero Cobra might be a bit quicker than V2 as it stands right now. I think it's just a matter of keeping with him in the corners.
I mean, we saw how much V2 Combat pushes ERS, locking up again. How much he pushes ERS in Hungary, and it costs him a ton. I mean, F1 driver kept catching up, and giving him a fight, and that's wasting the amount of ERS he did, using the overtake button, engaging it at the wrong times, is what probably cost him the 10th gap between him and Cobra. Let's speak about penalties. Let's see what penalties are like for the top 5. GSR Pluto has kept his nose clean. V2 Combat has 2 invalidated lap times. I'm not sure what that says. Aero Cobra, no warnings. V Ripley, just a drive-through. So everyone has kept it clean and not really had many penalties to spare.
And yep, V2 is getting pretty close to the back of GSR Pluto now. Will he be close enough for any DRS moves maybe? And Pluto, pretty close to the wall there
Almost pulled a GSR Bianchi from Tier 4.
Yep, he nearly did. But anyways, with DRS, V2 will really have enough leeway to make a move into turn 1. And
Not
pretty
enough.
close. And will not be
Can't
enough.
get there.
Yellow
Yellow
for
flags. That's a Red Bull. That's KDX Breyer into the barrier, and he's out of the session. Will this bring out a
And
safety
he's
car? It
raged.
brings out only a
Yep, there it
VSC.
is. He's raged.
For pits. Ooh, yeah, I would think so. And that's brought out a VSC.
And Jab
Jab is
retired.
out under the safety car. Under the safety car.
Red Bull's day and constructors just got so much worse.
Both Red Bulls out of 1 lap. What happened to that team? They just switched drivers about two laps ago.
I'm not sure. I don't even know where Jab crashed.
I think that was it. Into Sector 2. I could swear. I don't know. I mean, that's tough.
Yes, Red Bull is going to get 0 points from today, unfortunately for them. But V Ripley will have to drive through under clean flag, though. He is P3 right now. This is the podium spot that he's wanted for quite some time. And depending on how the rest of this race goes.
Whoa! That was close. That was close.
I assume he might serve to drive through this lap. And when he serves that drive-through, I believe, he'll come out just behind Cobra.
Oh, we see Smoking Engineer is the fastest lap with a
Oh,
30
Ripley's
seconds.
crashed! Ripley has crashed on the penultimate corner.
Oh, ho, ho. And commentators curse Bianchi? Wouldn't you say?
Fortunately, so that really
That
sucks for V
sucks.
Ripley.
DRS enabled for V2. He's got the overtake button engaged into turn 1 on Pluto. Down the inside he goes. They're side by side, pitching him to the wall. Pluto is. Pluto, Tier 2 champion versus V2, a 4-time winner in GSR. Well, actually 3, I think. I messed that one up again. But he was close enough, V2, to make a move. He couldn't do so, and he was wanting to get by for the race lead. And now with all this, with Ripley's crash, that puts Rumbly Fungus into the 3rd position, net P2 right now because of all that. And that Ricochet is also going down to 4th, net P4, now net P5 with all this. Ricochet crashed and caused the safety car on lap 1. So, he's in
Yeah,
third
remember
position.
when Ricochet was P18 after that last safety car restart? Yeah, he's already back up to P6. There's so many driver of the day contenders right now in this race.
Rumbly Fungus as well, who he started 19th, and he's up to 3rd. He was one of my favorites to watch, so he did very good. You had GSR Pluto as well, who right now with all the chaos, he could come out in about the 6th position area. And I'm telling you, He knows the chaos going on. He sees the chaos going on. He is waiting for another safety car. And V2 Combat picks up a second penalty.
That could decide this entire race.
That could. And the fact Rumbly Fungus is gaining on him a ton here is something else that decides it too, because Rumbly Fungus is on newer tires. Does V2 decide to pit this time? Does Pluto decide to pit this time? Overtake button was engaged for a moment there. He's got the slipstream on Pluto into the front straight. Side by side, right side for V2.
Pluto pits.
Pluto pits. So he didn't want to battle too much there. V2 Combat alone and in the race lead.
Yep, and V2, I don't know when he's going to pit. He must be pitting in these next few laps. Pluto's probably going to be pitting on the softs if he does. And V2 is going to be doing the same thing.
Pluto has damage, and I'm questioning right now as Ricochet does go by. Ricochet up to 5th, but I'm questioning how his performance will be with that damage now that he's got to battle Ricochet, and now that he's on newer tires. You think he can maybe catch up for podium here between Scratty Rat and Aero Cobra, who actually go wheel to wheel into turn 3. They're side by side, and Cobra turns in. There's a bit of contact. They touch, and Scratty Rat does pick up some damage. Well, he already had some damage, but he does have more damage, which affects him from that. I would assume maybe more lime green wing onto that, added onto that.
They need to keep in mind that Pluto, with the soft tires, doesn't even take him the soft tires too long to heat up. He's already caught back up to Scratty Rat and Cobra. He's going to be probably very frustrated behind the wheel, being held up by these two. I guarantee it. And
keep in mind, keep in mind, look how much cloudier it gets. Could we see a Baku tier 2? Because it's getting cloudier a bit in the sky. And now he passes Scratty Rat. He goes
or not.
What? Or not, yeah. He has a chance to try it here, though. He ain't going to try it because he knows it's smarter not to do so. He's going to have DRS in the front straight, though, which will help him.
And I believe Pluto, yep, with pressure tire advantage, I think the better tire advantage over Scratty Rat, I believe he'll be getting by these two eventually.
Keep in mind, V2 Combat has 2 penalties, if I'm correct. Rumbly Fungus has nothing. So, if V2 picks up another penalty, Rumbly Fungus just needs to get a range of about 9 seconds. And he can do so. He's close enough to do so. Scratty Rat does have DRS, and so does Pluto into turn 1. He goes wide. Is
and Scratty Rat goes wide. Yeah, it's just lag.
That is lag. Hate seeing that, don't you?
Yep, and he's ghosting through Scratty Rat. Pluto through. Okay, then. It's quite the overtake maneuver.
Solves that issue.
Yep, but now all Pluto needs to do now is try overtaking Cobra. But you had, like you said, those clouds. It is getting so much cloudier in Pluto. Went really deep in that corner. I thought he was about to hit the wall there.
Two warnings for Scratty Rat, which I find interesting. Ricochet, a warning for him. So the only person who has a penalty in the top 5 is V2 Combat. So I don't want to curse anything, which I know I'm good at doing. Rumbly Fungus, with the pace he's at right now, he could possibly be on first win. He's on first podium since Italy last season, which is about 3 months ago.
Rumbly could possibly win this race. Like V2, once he pits, he'll be flying at. Also, Pluto on the brand new softs. Once he catches up to Rumbly Fungus, he'll also be flying too.
Yeah, V2 Combat has been hit with a few warning exceeding track limits warnings, and then you see the 3 second he got, and then you see the other 3 second he got. He just needs another 3 second in order for that to change, and he pits from the race lead, which is big because Rumbly Fungus has a chance to go to the end, and now Pluto Cobra side by side, wheel to wheel into turn 1. Pluto gets ahead with help of DRS, and he's gonna go through, but where V2 comes out is gonna be crucial. He's behind Aero Cobra and Pluto. This is for a podium position. Rumbly Fungus leading. Pluto from 13th or Rumbly Fungus from 19th in the grid. We could possibly see another GSRX from USA last season charging his way through and coming from 20th in the grid to win, where Rumbly Fungus comes from last in the grid to possibly win. But where Pluto's at and where the clouds are at, ever so slightly, the clouds get darker and darker.
Again, remember Tier 2 last season, where GSR Hamilton started P17 on the grid. That was second to last place. He was also driving for Mercedes, ironically, and he won that race after acing a strategy. Could we see Rumley Fungus maybe take this victory from last again?
To make it more special, I guess, Pluto, who was running up there the whole race in the championship contender to that Mercedes, is in a racing point and was in a racing point. So Rumley Fungus has to defend for his life. Pluto just had a bit of oversteer there, costed him about a 10th, but now the gap between the race lead is 2.8 seconds. And V2 Combat's 6 seconds are crucial to Ricochet and Such J, who are actually within that 6-second gap right now, while V2's putting it on his softs and locked up again and going to the barrier. I think he took damage. He's not. Wow.
Surprisingly.
That's big. Aero Cobra is actually going to get DRS, I believe. No, he's not actually. I believe Scratty Rat might get DRS off the lap car. No, he's not close enough. But Aero Cobra will off Pluto. The gap between the race lead is 1.8 seconds now between Pluto, Cobra, Rumley Fungus. It's a 3-car battle for this race victory. Cobra, with the help of DRS, can't get close enough to Pluto into turn 1. The gap is not close. Scotty Jets pits. V2 Combat.
Maybe he did. I'm not sure what happened there at all.
He's coming out for a front wing change. V2 Combat. Wow, that's huge. Now this puts Crash in lap 1 up to 5th place in a good position, and this also puts, well, it already put Pluto, who started 13th, Rumley Fungus, who started 19th, we're at the far back of the grid on a different strategy in a chance to win this race.
Yes, and he's already within DRS range now. All are under a second. 7/10 is the gap between Pluto and Rumley Fungus. This could be an amazing battle for the victory, I can already tell.
Hey, well, 17 people want to watch this battle for the victory. They're staying in. I hope more people come in, because they're going to love the battle for the race when you have Rumley Fungus on 8-lap mediums, Pluto on 2-lap softs, newer tires, and Cobra as well on newer tires. Those are just mediums, and Pluto trying for his first tier 1 win. This is where, I remember, he has damage as well. He got damage in this race last season when I commentator cursed him, and that costed him partially a chance at a race victory where he finished 2nd last season.
Yep, but now Pluto with I can't speak apparently, but yeah, Pluto with DRS range now. 3/10 back, he'll definitely have enough leeway to make a move in the turn 1. And Cobra might actually have something to say.
This is for the race lead now. DRS might have the help for Pluto. He engages overtake mode to the outside of Rumley Fungus for the race lead. No challenge. Pluto goes ahead, and Pluto leading a tier 1 race and possibly gonna win his first tier 1 race. Could he do it? We'll have to find out in these last 5 laps.
I wouldn't say Pluto.
Switch J by Ricochet. Contact! Ricochet! They touched, and Ricochet got sideways, and that possibly costed him a position right there.
I can't exactly say Pluto has race 1 though, because it was around this time in tier 2 where the rain started coming down. So like this can change within an instant. Like conditions to heavy rain within 2 laps.
Keep in mind, Pluto was 2nd with those conditions, but he actually decided to stay out, if I'm correct. Pluto was one of the drivers who stayed out last season, and he had to, and then he pitted on the last lap, which he needed to do, because if he didn't go to those wet tires, well, I mean, they put on the intermediates, so that's what he had to do.
I feel like
and that's what he had to do to be in position.
Aero Cobra wants to have a chance on maybe taking this victory. He needs to get by Rumley Fungus right now, because he can see GSR Pluto absolutely gapping these two. And Fungus trying to get all the time he can, but Pluto just continues to pull away.
He has more ERS than Pluto, so there was a factor possibly. But Rumley Fungus doesn't have DRS on Pluto, which is actually going to help Cobra here in his position. Not Rumley Fungus not having, and if he engages the overtake button, maybe Cobra could get himself DRS down at turn 3. Now, ERS mode was engaged in overtake for a moment. DRS on Rumley Fungus to the outside now. Rumley Fungus, who looked like he was going to have his first win, does not, and now is passed by Aero Cobra for position. And now Cobra, like I was mentioning about the DRS to turn 3, he's got himself toward that position where he's got DRS. He's got DRS on Pluto. He's close enough to do it. So we're going to see a battle between these two for the race victory.
We could see another photo finish like the one in tier 3 between Broken Reptile and Iprox Diamonds. We could see an exact recreation of that today, maybe.
WR had a photo finish back in F1 2019 at the end of the race between the two teammates. Kyle Mitchell came on to the better end of that, so It's not the first time in any league we've seen a photo finish at Baku. I would not be surprised at all. Scotty Jets, Pitts, Atlantis running in the lower points positions. Ripley as well from that drive-through. Kyle also too. So definitely interesting with Brew Gorgon crashing out of who's going to take the championship lead. But Pluto with damage leading this race. It's insanity. And you see the clouds come in a bit darker and darker and darker as we speak. And Pluto gets a bit of oversteer. Here comes Cobra. This is the battle for the race victory. Coming to 2 to go.
This is where it's going to start getting spiced up right now, because this is where the soft tires are going to start to give out too, because the rear tires are going to be absolutely gone.
6/10 is the gap. If you want to have a chance to overtake Pluto, you need to be within 6/10. Use overtake button right now and get yourself closer within DRS so you can get the slipstream, get the toe you want, get the DRS you want, because Cobra could be winning 2 weeks in a row right now. But coming to this DRS zone for the third to last time, Pluto, Cobra has DRS into turn 1. Coming to 2 to go. Cobra to the outside of Pluto. Cobra defends the inside.
Pluto
Cobra
fucking
goes
back,
through,
though.
but Pluto around the outside. They're wheel to wheel. This might give Rummy Fungus a chance, who's picked up a penalty. Cobra takes the race lead.
Second
And
two
Atlantis
as for
is out.
Atlantis out of the session.
Pluto engaging overtake. DRS button engaged. Into turn 3 for the second to last time. Wheel to wheel. Can't get it enough.
He's still there though. Nope,
Oh!
not there anymore. Now it's just a matter of Pluto maybe keeping with him. Rummy Fungus knows, I think, he's not going to be able to contend for this victory unless these two get a penalty.
And Rummy Fungus might fall behind Scratty Rat because he has that penalty. There's a shade of sun coming out in Baku. That shade of sun still out from the clouds, so maybe it just got cloudy for a moment. Right here, you see more of the sun. Could maybe show we don't have any rain coming. Pluto's put himself in a position where he's going to have DRS this time on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Lap 25 out of 26. This has put GSR Luck in a points position now, but... Oh! Cobra locking up into the barrier from the lead! Cobra locking up and going into the barrier from the lead!
Oh, goodness. How does he have any wing damage? He doesn't look like
He
anything.
choked from that.
It looks like cosmetic damage.
No damage. But if he wants to have a chance at Pluto, he locked up, made a mistake, gone into the barrier. He's going to have DRS this time, Cobra will. Come into the last lap again. We've seen last lap battles in GSR this season so far. That's been the key factor. DRS engaged. Well, not overtake button yet. 7/10 that gap between Cobra and Pluto. Remember, Pluto has damage. Cobra does not. I'm green damage. So... in this position, as Kyle goes by Ricochet, in this position, Cobra is probably in the better position when it comes to damage. Overtake button engaged, enabled. 7/10 that gap. About to be down to 6/10.
I am nervous. I'm not even driving, and I'm nervous to see how this race is going to end.
Locking up again by Cobra. Can't make the same mistake he made last time because he locked up a little bit too much and gone under the barrier.
Oh, and Cobra actually touches the barrier just a bit on corner entry. No damage, but if he does that a bit more on the castle section, that could spell the end of his race.
The gap is close enough for a close race win, a close victory. I'd be assuming Pluto will be using overtake, but he's got to take these corners careful to not break more of his front wing. Cobra is there. He's 7/10 behind. He's just close enough to make a move. He can't get close enough because Pluto's got the traction off the corner that he wants. Overtake button engaged. A little bit too early for Cobra, but now he's going to need DRS for the final lap.
Oh, and he's actually
Again,
hit the
he
wall
locks
again.
up into the barrier.
Pluto has this
He
race
did the
won
same
now.
exact thing as last lap.
And GSR Pluto now has this race won, just a matter of him not wrecking these last two little corners here.
See, Pluto knows he's got it from last season, a tier 2 champion last season. He picked up wing damage at Baku last season, got himself a second place out of a crazy race. He's gonna take his first tier 1 win this season, and now coming to the line, Rumbly Fungus and Cobra coming to the line. Cobra's got it, and Scratty Rat onto the podium for the second week in a row. Pluto takes his first win in tier 1 of GSR.
What a race. Oh my goodness.
I think we need to invite Pluto. Oh my god. Scotty Jets has been into the barrier, but Cobra is probably like, don't talk to me right now, don't talk to me. But Pluto is definitely the opposite of that.
Hi.
Wow. Yeah.
Mr. Cobra, do you remember what you were saying to me at the end of Hungary? Yeah, that's a shame, isn't it? Thank you. Did you keep P2 or did you get fucked to the line?
Sorry about that. Nah, I kept P2.
Good, nice. Well done.
I'm so
For
gutted.
points position, finishes the race. But Pluto, I gotta talk to you first. A race victory for you. You're first in Tier 1. You haven't even had a podium in Tier 1 yet. Now you're getting a race victory. Crazy for you. Last season, you could say I commentator cursed you, and you took damage. And this season, you had damage on your front wing, but was trying to nurse it home. You saw Cobra go into the barrier by locking up. You took the race lead. You took the advantage, and you won the race by it. Tell me about that one. Your first victory in Tier 1.
But yeah, where do I even start? The safety car at the start put me in a perfect position with strategy. I decided not to go on softs in quali for that exact reason. Ended up in P2. I kept going, and by the end of the first pit stops, I expected to come out around 6th because I thought everyone else would have pitted under the VSC. I didn't get a chance to do that because of where I was on track when it came out. But yeah, I came out, I think 4th or 3rd, I don't remember. And I had one thing in mind that I was just trying to go as fast as I can to get a position. It ties ended up dying at the end, so I thought I'd fucked it when Cobra came back up to me. But yeah, I'm glad to have kept the P1.
Yeah, no, we saw a battle between you two for the race victory. I've definitely got to ask. Last season, you were Tier 2 champion, and drives like this is what gets you to Tier 1. When you moved up to Tier 1, did you think you were able to contend for a race victory?
No. I thought I'd get the rare podium when everyone else crashed out. I never thought I'd get a win.
Now, after you pitted from the race lead, you fell back to 6th, started 13th on the grid. You drove from 6th to 1st. How hard was it driving from those positions from 6th to 1st? I know you had the lagging Scratty rattled a little bit, which probably was a bit of an issue, a bit of a concern. But of course, how did you drive your way through the field the way you did?
Yeah, the lag scared the hell out of me. I thought he was going to end up spearing me into a wall with the lag. Luckily, I ghosted through him, which made it a bit easier. But yeah, I was so scared driving on softs. I knew I had to push, and I knew I had that damage as well. So I thought it was going to be so easy to bin it in Castle. So I'm just lucky I didn't DNF.
Yeah. And congratulations on the victory. You're first in Tier 1. Do you think you can contend for the championship now? Do you think that's a possibility?
No, not a chance, no. I'm not that fast. I think this is a one-off.
Congrats on the win. Bianchi, do you have any questions for him?
I do not.
Nice.
Cobra, I'd be hating to talk to you about this, but of course you already got a race victory, which you should be happy about. You got a race victory already, but you want to be doing better in the championship, extending that lead, or extending the gap that you'd have. And you locked up twice into the same barrier. Does that concern you at all for this race, locking up twice into the same barrier?
Well, the first time was just like a misjudgment, but the second time I was like, I might as well just go full send, and that's why I locked up. I don't know, I saw V2 doing the same thing, and somehow he didn't have any problems, but yeah, I don't know, I knew I had to be like, get away from Pluto on that lap, because I don't want to be repassed, and then like, it be down to the last straight. So I pushed a bit too hard, I locked up, and fuck yeah. Obviously my qualifying lap I was 3/10 up going into the last sector, and then I just bottled that, so good to see. And yeah, I don't know, it's just a silly mistake really. that cost me the win today. But yeah, if there was someone else who was going to win the race, it would be Pluto. I would want to. So out of the people who were fighting at the front, so yeah, not too bad. Still got 18 points. So yeah.
Yeah, 18 points isn't bad, but when you're in contention to win get the win, you'd want to get the win. What were you thinking originally when you made that mistake? Were you thinking my race is over? Do I still have a chance to catch him? It looks like when you hit the barrier first time.
I did. If
I'm green.
Yeah, but it was enough to
That's
just
why,
fuck
yeah.
up the. Problem is when you use no ABS, having damage is a lot worse because you just lock up for some reason. I don't really know why that is, but it's just impossible to drive basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, just gutted, man, because I had that in the bag and then end it. So yeah.
Now, this is your first season in GSR. You're in Tier 1, and you've contended already in your 2 starts for a race victory. How do you feel you can do in the championship? Because we've seen over ARL you've contended for race victories, and over here you already are contending for race victories in your first starts. A first and a second in your first 2 starts. Is there any positives to take out of that, at least for this whole season? Do you look at the long picture, or the bigger picture?
I mean, I missed the first race, which was a bit of a stinker. But yeah, today, my main championship rivals, Brute Gorgon, V2, and Ricochet all had stinkers. So, yeah, I move up massively in the championship. I don't know, Joe, did you score any points at Silverstone?
Yes, I came 6th in Silverstone.
Okay, yeah, so he's on... quick maths. Okay, not very quick maths. 33 points. And then I'm on 25, 8, 3, 33, 43. So yeah, comfortable advantage, but yeah, I've got to keep pushing to get good results. Obviously a bit gutting to throw away a win like that, but in the bigger picture, yeah, I mean, I still came 2nd, still good points, and yeah.
Yeah, you still gotta look at the positive of that because you were contending for the race victory. It's not like you got put in that position and just did that. You were contending the whole day, so congrats on a 2nd place finish. I know you'd like to be standing on the top step of the podium, but you're not, so it sucks. But
Oh, thanks, mate.
Bianchi, do you have any questions? Bianchi, do you have any questions for
Fucking hell, mate, thanks.
Cobra?
I don't.
Bianchi, you might as well start with Scruddy Rat. I may as well let you get him.
So you had a very up and down race the entire time. So you fell back behind a few cars at the beginning of the race. How was that through your perspective? Because you had to fight through quite a bit of traffic.
Make sure you have your audio included.
I was stuck behind him on the hards.
Cheers for the invite,
And
mate,
then-
but
Yeah, no
I don't know
problem.
if you included your audio. Actually, let's join this. Alright, carry on.
But yeah, it was hard. And then, like the lag, I felt the lag a lot behind people. Like, I think Pluto was saying that when he was behind me, he was scared. And I couldn't even tell where he was going. He was just glitching all over the place.
Yeah, mate, you had a bit of a lag issue, because last week you were perfectly fine, but this week there was a lot of lag. I don't know what if you just...
I know,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Bianchi, do you have any other questions for Scruddy Rat?
I do not.
I have a question. That's 2 podiums in a row for you. That's 2 third places in a row. Does that give you confidence in the next Grand Prix at Bahrain?
A bit of confidence, but I wouldn't say Bahrain's my favourite track. So, a bit more than I would normally have.
Alright, well, congratulations on your 3rd place finish. I don't have any other questions for you, but, Bianchi, the race it provided today, I mean, that was cleaner than Tier 4, but I'd say more enjoyable for me to commentate than Tier 4. We actually had actual overtaking very cleanly, and, we didn't have any, stupidness, I guess you could say. I'm not saying Tier 4 is stupid, but I'm just saying Tier 4 drivers do pull more aggressive moves, and, you know, it doesn't always work out.
Yep, that is true. And Tier 1 brought an amazing race today. There were some amazing moves throughout the entire race, like Kyle Satu's defense over, I believe it was his teammate Such J, around the outside in turns 1 and 2. Some amazing overtakes throughout the entire time. That's just one of the many examples.
And especially the drive through the field after Pluto pitted with 6 laps to go, driving from 6th to 1st. I mean, that's just something you just can't write up. You just can't make it up. I mean, it's insane with the way that went.
Yeah, it's just overall, I don't really know what else to say. It's just an insane race.
So then my question is, what do you expect going into Tier 2 tomorrow?
I mean, Tier 2, I believe, is much closer, and not saying Tier 1 is competitive, but I believe, like, when it comes to the pace front, Tier 2 is just so tightly packed that almost everybody's equal on pace. So I expect probably lots of good racing, and since it's Baku Chaos.
I would hope so. So make sure you tune into Tier 2 tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK. They're back at Azerbaijan. This has been a great weekend for GSR. Probably the best races we've seen at this track. And we'll have to find out what goes on then. Next week is Bahrain for Tier 1. If I'm correct on that, make sure you tune into that. That should be a good race. Bahrain has always provided to be a good race. We'll find out. Glad to have you guys join us for interviews, and glad to have a good race like that. That was good, and hopefully we'll see more stuff like that maybe tomorrow or maybe next week. So glad to have Bianchi you join us, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for Tier 2 and next week for Tier 1 at Bahrain.